Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming with this evening to join us. My name is Megan Lee, and on behalf of Modesto Junior College and Campus Life and Student Learning, I'd like to welcome you to the first Positive People Speaker Series of our fall semester. We're so excited to provide a forum that showcases all of the wonderful things that are possible while in pursuit of your life goals, as long as you work hard, push through obstacles, and ask for help. Each one of our speakers in this series was hand-selected to share with all of you a message of faith, hope, and perseverance. We're thankful to each of our speakers for making the time to speak and for their willingness to open up and share with all of us. At the conclusion of our presentation, we will open up for a Q&A session. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker for the evening, the very inspiring Mr. Juan Arroyo.
We good? All right. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Well, this is the first time I've talked to a crowd this big, especially about my journey and the big obstacle I overcame in the collision. Just a side note. So this door right here is actually the door that was removed from my car when I was struck. So my brother, he helped me clean it. Everybody here to show you guys. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for coming to the first presentation of Positive People. I want to give a shout out to any teachers, academic counselors, and mentors in the audience. Without people like you, there's a chance I wouldn't have had the success I did in my education. Prior to January of this year, I had not heard of Positive People. It wasn't until my former English professor, Sam Pierstarf, or like he's known, the Ninja Poet, came to visit me while I was in the hospital back in January. I was high as a kite when Sam asked if I ever thought about sharing my story, and after he explained to me what Positive People was, I agreed to do it. So Sam, I know you're here. Thank you. So at times, I've had people around me tell me that everything in my life seems to kind of be together, but this hasn't always been the case. My twin brother and I were born 3 months prematurely and faced some health issues. One of those were undeveloped lungs because of the premature birth. We spent some time in incubators. Got a picture? Let me backtrack for a minute. So my life so far has been all about perseverance, especially the last 9 months. I looked up the definition, and according to Webster, perseverance is a continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition. I feel that applies to me because me being in the hospital, waking up in the ICU room and being told that I was struck by a drunk driver during a pursuit, and having to face the consequences of those actions were not easy. So going back to our birth, so we spent some time in the incubators. One of the things my mom was told was that as my brother and I got older, there was a chance that we would have some learning disabilities. By the grace of God, my brother and I do not have any learning disabilities and have been able to live out a normal life. So some of you guys may recognize this sign from the flea market on Cross Landing Road. I took a picture of that sign one night when I was working because we spent 8 years of our lives working there every weekend. So we were raised in Southside Modesto, and if some of you are not familiar with it, Southside Modesto is infested by crime, gangs, drugs, and violence. Young men and women who are not fortunate to have a mentor to guide them often have fallen into the pressures of drugs and gangs. My parents did not want us to fall into the same pressures, so we had to stay in the after-school program while in middle school, where my mother, who did not drive, would walk to pick us up every day. I have a feeling if she could ride in the bus to high school with us, she would, just to make sure we were safe. So my father wanted us to learn how to work hard and to know the value of $1. And so we began selling at the flea market at an early age. We started at 8 years old. I think my dad was trying to sell tamales. Eventually it moved on to toys. And towards the end, we ended up selling hot dogs. At the time, I didn't know the value of that experience, but now I realize how much it influenced who I am today. So because of the flea market, going there every weekend, we missed a lot of our childhood. We rarely went to parties, never made it to family functions, or we were always late. And at the time, as an 8, 9, 10-year-old, all you wanted to do was have fun with your friends. And not being able to do that, at times it was difficult. At times we didn't understand what my dad was trying to do. Like I said, now as an older person, I realize what he was trying to teach us. So my parents did not attend college due to having to drop out during elementary school to help work and raise their siblings. They were both born and raised in Mexico. They came to the United States around 15, 16 years old. Even though my mother did not attend college, she pushed us to pursue an education. My parents did not have the financial ability to pay for college, but my mother would tell us not to worry about it, that she would find a way. Coming from a family where not many members went to college, I did not have the slightest idea how to enroll into college. I was in high school when I told my assigned counselor that I wanted to move from general education courses to what was considered CP and AP courses. I'm not sure if all the schools have them, but I know Downey High had them. I had the highest grade my senior year on my general ed courses that I wanted more of a challenge. I would get bored in class because I wasn't advancing. He knew I wanted to become a police officer because I told him from the beginning that when I told him I wanted to advance to higher classes and eventually join a university, I remember he laughed and said, "For what?" He's like, "You want to become a police officer? Take a few criminal justice courses, go to the academy, and you'll be fine." I was left with the feeling that maybe I wasn't meant to attend a university because of the profession I had chosen. Then I was introduced to the college liaison at Downey High, and I thought, hey, for sure, she's gonna help me out, since that was her purpose of being at the campus. I went to go speak with her. Again, I told her that I was enrolled in general ed classes, but that I still wanted to go to a university. What she told me stuck with me. I like to think that I'm over it, but I'm not. She told me she did not have time for me and was focused on students who were going to get into college. So one thing not that many people know, I dealt with low self-confidence and low self-esteem in high school, and being told this didn't help my situation. So that was me. That was me at around 7th grade. Talk about transformation, huh? So I'll be talking about EOPS, so that's why I have those pictures up there. So ever since I was in middle school, I was part of the TRIO program. So at the time when I was in TRIO in middle school, I didn't really know what it was about. I just knew we had to stay for 2-3 hours, do our homework. They would give us a snack. Every now and then, they would take us on a field trip. But I didn't know. Maybe I was too young. So after middle school, I transferred to Downey High. I was naturally enrolled into TRIO. So at TRIO, I spent 4 years at Downey, and I didn't really know how much TRIO was going to play a role in my life, especially during high school. As I told you guys, my counselor kind of laughed when I told him, hey, I want to move up in my classes, and the college liaison didn't want to help me out when I asked her, how do I transfer? But TRIO, I would like to think they were like the key to my success, because if it wasn't for them, I don't know what I would have done. Towards the end of my senior year, they helped us out to sign up for college prep courses. So about a week after graduation, we found ourselves at the East Campus taking college prep courses. We also took a house class and something else, I think there was the other one, touch out of study. They also took us on field trips. Finally, I had made it into college and was not going to let this opportunity escape. So I started my education here at MJC back in 2007. Again, knowing that my parents didn't have the ability to pay for college made me kind of nervous, because college wasn't cheap. So when I started the summer program, I learned about FAFSA. At the same time, while taking college prep courses, we were enrolled in another program called EOPS. EOPS is very similar to TRIO. So the way it works out, for those of you who don't know, EOPS and TRIO, they assign you as counselor, like an academic counselor, who meets with you to make sure you're on course to graduate. They get to know your educational goals, set up an educational plan, and encourage you and push you to reach those goals. So along my stay here at MJC, I came across teachers who were supportive. They believed in me and pushed me to be successful. I graduated from MJC, I think it was around April of 2010 when I walked the stage. In that following fall semester, I started my education at TSU Stanislaus. I spent about 6 years at Stan State due to having a job that did not work with my school schedule, and I had to take a class or two at a time. Between that, I also took a year off because I started a police academy, and that was a 9-month academy in addition to the field training program. So I took about a year off before I went back to school and finished my bachelor's. It wasn't easy. There were times where I would work graveyard, get off at 7, sleep for maybe an hour, if at all, go to class for about 3 hours, go home, catch a nap, and go back to work. Like I said, it wasn't easy. I could say this now because it's over, but many times at work, instead of working, I would study. I would say that because my supervisor's back there. But it was during slow nights in the west side, during the rainy season. But I needed to find a way to graduate. A lot of people here, say excuses. Oh, I don't have time. I work too much. I have too many kids. I don't have the money. Whatever the case may be, but I didn't let that affect me. I didn't let my reasons stop me from achieving my goal. My mom would constantly push us, make sure to go to college. If you guys don't graduate college, you're going to end up working in the fields like we did. Nothing wrong with working in the fields, but Mom wanted us to have a better future than they did. They wanted to make sure that we were going to be taken care of when their time came to pass away. So, anyways, so I graduated from Stan State in 2016. I walked the stage, and I got my degree in psychology. So, when I started MJC, I didn't know what I wanted to major in. Initially, I was going to do business because my brother was going to do business. But I couldn't see myself doing it. I thought it was boring. until I was speaking to one of the counselors, and They told me, how come you don't take a Psych 101 class? Check it out. It meets your requirements for an elective or one of the requirements they met. So I took a class with Lee, sitting up in the front row. In the first day of class, she walked in wearing her cap and gown. And as soon as she walked in, she didn't say anything for a few minutes. I knew that's where I belonged. We started talking about the perception, started talking about how the mind works, and I ended up enjoying it. I fell in love with it. So lessons I learned from growing up in the South Side and my education. Don't let others make you feel like college is not for you. Regardless of your background or upbringing, you can attend college and achieve your goals. I haven't heard of an excuse yet that's a valid excuse of why someone can't finish college or why someone can't afford it. There's help out there. Even if it means taking out a loan, hey, do what you gotta do. All right, so now that I got done with my education side, now to talk about my obstacle. Yeah, so this paper, I'm sure you guys, or most of you guys probably saw it on the news or on the newspaper. So let me kind of give you guys a background of what happened. Not only was I achieving my dreams of graduating from college with my bachelor's degree, but I also was living my dream of working as a police officer. I had worked hard to earn my position in my chosen profession and was loving every minute of it. Approximately 4.5 years into my career, the night that I always had a feeling was going to come, did. I didn't know the time, I didn't know the place, I didn't know how severe it was going to be, but I knew it was going to happen. I don't know why. I remember telling my dad shortly before graduation, hey, if I get taken out at work, it could be by a drunk driver. Again, I don't know why. I just had a feeling. I didn't go searching for it, obviously, but things happened pretty quick. So on January 16, around 1:30 in the morning, that came into reality. So that night started as a regular shift when I wore my nice uniform because I had applied to be a field training officer and I wanted to impress my sergeant. Little did I know, a few hours later, paramedics were going to cut that uniform up. So again, started as a regular night. We had briefing. It was on a Monday. We had just returned from Sacramento for a black and blue ball. It's kind of a charity event to raise money for this organization called COPS. They put it on every year. So I was excited to be back at work. I was ready to get started. I remember one of my coworkers who was sitting next to me made fun of me because I had my nice uniform. He's like, hey, I think you forgot your tie. So I went on duty, and one of my friends' daughter wanted to meet a police officer. So one of the businesses in downtown Modesto donated these bears, and I grabbed one because I was like, it's going to be a slow night, or what appeared to be a slow night. I was like, I'm going to go meet her. So this is the last picture I took on duty right before I delivered that bear. So I spent about 30 minutes at my friend's house. Again, night was slow. I'm onto the radio. I was ready to go if I had to, but I was assigned to the West Side. I had been assigned to the West Side for about 1.5 years at that point. West Side, you never know. Some days it's really slow. Some days like off the hook. This night was started slow. Little did I know that in a few hours after leaving my friend's house, I was going to be involved in a violent collision that would change my life forever. A little after 1 a.m., dispatch informed us that California Highway Patrol was in the pursuit and needed assistance with setting spike strips. Again, like I mentioned, the West Side was a quiet night. I wasn't doing anything, so I made myself useful, and I went that way. So I arrived on scene. Things were chaotic because the guy was driving all over the place. I heard one of my coworkers say over the radio the location where he believed the suspect and the Highway Patrol were going. I remember thinking to myself, hey, those streets don't cross. And before I could even think about anything else, I got hit. I didn't have time to react. I didn't even know what happened. When I got hit, I remember looking around and thinking, all right, what just happened? I didn't think I was injured. It honestly felt like a dream, like one of those dreams where you're gonna wake up and you're like, man, that felt like real. Like it was some real stuff, but I never woke up. Anything past that, I can't remember. And it's crazy because I was told I suffered a concussion, and it kind of deleted a whole week worth of memory, even though I was conscious. I was talking, I was taken to the hospital, getting some drugs. Again, I don't remember any of that stuff. I like to say I regained consciousness about a week later and found myself in the ICU room, confused because I had all these oxygen masks on me and who knows what else. I didn't know what happened. To me, it felt like time had gone by real quick. I didn't know how a week had passed. Finally, a friend of ours sat down and she told me the reason why I was in the hospital. She said, hey, remember that pursuit? You were struck by a drunk driver. I was like, me? No. I was like, where's my phone? I want to check. I didn't want to believe her. And nobody had my phone. I kept asking for my phone because I wanted to confirm what she was telling me about, because I didn't believe it. Again, my brother was like, oh, I don't have your phone. Little did I know, he had my phone in his pocket that entire time. By the time I came to, I had already had 3 surgeries that were pretty major. From my knee to my pelvis to the bone in my arm that popped out. They were pretty severe. And those were not the last surgeries I would have. A few days after that, I was taken back into surgery to wire my mouth shut. So I used to admire my smile because I took care of it. I'm serious. So the worst thing that happened to me was when I got my mouth wired, I couldn't really talk, I couldn't brush my teeth, couldn't floss, couldn't do any of that stuff. I couldn't even eat. So friends were coming over, not knowing my mouth was wired, and were bringing donuts. Like a lot of people were bringing donuts, but I couldn't eat any of that stuff because my mouth was wired. So this is me in the hospital. So in this picture, I don't know if you guys could tell, but my arms are swollen. I didn't really know what happened to my right arm. I just know it was swollen. This is my fiance right here, sleeping. So immediately after I was taken to the 3rd floor at DMC, I had to do physical therapy. Again, this was me in the, this was still me in the ICU room. Again, confused, drugged up. So I was fortunate to have some of the most caring doctors and nurses who made me feel like royalty as I laid in the hospital, were not able to do much for myself. I'm sure you guys have all heard, you find out who your friends are when you're like at the lowest point in your life. And this literally was the lowest point in my life. I had family and friends visit me often, and some of them spent hours there just to make sure I was fine. Very rarely would somebody get to the hospital and find my room empty. It came to the point where my brother, the nurse told my brother, hey, people gotta stop coming because I hear both visitor rooms and the hallways were crowded. I didn't see that. I wish I did, but I didn't see it. But I felt the love was there. So when I was in the hospital, finally I told my brother, you know, if I can have my phone, have people write me and send me pictures. And they did. I don't remember that, but they did. So the MJC released an article, and within a few days, people were bringing letters and rocks and pictures, and it was cool to see. So I spent a month in the rehab center where every day I had to endure 2 hours of physical therapy. At times it was painful and other times I did not feel like going to therapy because I was tired or sore. My therapist would literally have to help me get into the wheelchair and push me down the hallway towards the gym. One of my therapists even woke me up at 6:30 in the morning just to shower and have me go back to bed. One of the thoughts that was constant in my head when I was in the rehab center was, you don't know how strong you are until being strong is the only option you have. I had a feeling this was going to happen. I just didn't know when, and I didn't know how I was going to react to it. I had every right to feel sorry for myself, be bitter, hate the guy who hit me, and even depressed over my situation. When I was in the hospital, my psychiatrist came to see me. So at work, we get issued a psychiatrist. So she came to see me to make sure mentally I was healthy, which I was. So I was able to stay positive and consider every day a blessing. Life has a sweeter taste when you've come close to dying. And it's a taste very few people hold on.
Great.
It's a taste very few people will ever know. So October 16 of this month will be 9 months in my collision. And I could tell you I'm not the same person I was prior to my collision. I stopped taking life for granted and began to cherish those around me. I learned to slow it down in life, and I feel like I needed to get everything done in one day. I learned that tomorrow's not promised, so we all have to live for today. I fight for those who did not have a chance to fight for their lives, and the families who have to live with the pain every day. The pain I feel is nothing compared to the family's pain, and that gives me motivation to not complain and keep pushing forward. Back in August, one of our supervisors was killed off duty by a drunk driver. So speaking with his wife, and knowing all the pain she went through, because Mike did not have a chance to fight, his was instant. I decided to not complain. I decided to keep pushing forward for Mike and his family, who have to endure that pain for a lifetime. Bad days will come in life, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Don't miss an opportunity to meet someone new, try a new experience, enjoy a good laugh, and don't ever become too busy looking down at your cell phone that you don't take a minute to look up and enjoy life. This year has been the worst, but the best year of my life. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about treasuring the moments in life, and I've learned to live for today, again, because tomorrow is not promised. A lot of us young people would think, I'm still healthy, we still got tomorrow. But in that same token, there's always somebody somewhere in life who's taking their last breath. Every day a law enforcement officer goes